for our audience, like here's what I'm totally enjoying those sounds because I'm having
Oh
flashbacks of being in
yeah.
Mexico. Oh, I I'm like, what are they
Yeah.
selling? I want some. I want some. Buy me one. Like whatever it is. I just want to buy some right now. Right. Those are the callers. Right. They're like letting people know I'm here. I got the goods. I got the
Exactly.
goods. Yeah.
Yeah. Ice cream. It could be ice cream. It could be corn. It could be
Elotes,
yeah, elote.
esquites.
Yeah.
Oh man, oh man. My mouth was watering. I'm like, why's my mouth watering? Because I hear that bell.
Yeah.
Because there's something good attached to it. So right on. I just wanted to make sure the audience knew what we were hearing because so maybe they've not been there. Maybe in their neighborhood somebody's like selling ice cream and they get a little bell, right? But
Yeah.
that sound was like, oh yeah. Tell me
Flash.
what are you selling? Yeah, right
Flashbacks.
on. It was flashbacks. It's definitely some flashbacks, man. Oh man. Welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch, and I'm really glad you joined us. Today's guest is Victor Manuel de la Mora Patiño. Did you catch that? I'm going to say it again. I like saying it. Victor Manuel de la Mora Patiño. Victor is an alumni of Ever Forward Club. 10 years ago, he was a part of our club. He attended some of our really powerful workshops in those early days of Ever Forward. We're 17 years old now. So he was in the early days of Ever Forward. He reflects on being a part of a workshop we had by Edward Paz, who is a good friend, but it's called Designing Your Best Year Ever. And these young men got a chance, and actually at the time there were young women in the program, they got a chance to be a part of like what adults get to do in the world, like being a part of designing their life and recognizing that their life they create, it can happen by accident, but it's probably not necessarily the life you're creating. It's the accidental life, but the life you design is a life worth living and fulfilled. And I'm super excited that now looking back, he reflected on that. He remembered that experience. It was one meeting, but he remembered it. And the fact that it has taken him to where he is now as an architect working in the construction industry in Mexico, like he's actually mentoring young men who work for his company, trying to help them find their way. It's beautiful when the mentoring comes full circle. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. We hope that you will hear in his voice the reflection of him taking what he learned in Ever Forward and now using it in his life. I'm really thankful that he was a part of that. You'll hear us talk about one of our college trips where the young men, well, that was one of our first trips where they were a co-ed trip. And there were some late nights that was happening in some of those journeys. But what I'm excited about is that he got a chance to be a part of a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a community, an academic family. And so I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you know anyone who can benefit from this conversation, please share it with them. Please like, subscribe, review our podcast and let people know how you like it. And the best way for people to find the podcast. There's two pieces of information I want to share with you before I close, before you hear today's episode. One, we just completed the 17th annual 24-hour relay challenge. That's a mouthful. 17th annual 24-hour relay challenge. It was a 24-hour live stream that happened through YouTube on a site we were fundraising on. We raised about $4,000 for not only Ever Forward, the Million Mask Movement, but for 5 community organizations. We'll be sharing more information about those 5 organizations soon. But if you want to support the work that we're doing, please, you can do that on our website. But the other piece of information I want to share with you is that this summer, our young men in a Social Emotional Leadership Academy will do a takeover of the podcast. And what that means is that the young men you will see more of their faces than you will hear of their voices and faces than you will see of mine. They're going to be interviewing each other. They're going to be interviewing other young men in the community. They're going to be interviewing adults. And this is not really an interview format, as you know. This is a conversation. So you're going to hear from our youth. I think our youth have a lot to say, especially in this time. So please look forward to those episodes that will come in the summertime. And over the next month, you'll hear young voices taking over this spot here. I'm really excited for them and for what they're going to create. So thank you for being a part of the Taking Off the Mask podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Whoa.
Welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch, and I'm so glad you've joined us. Today, I am telling you that you're in for a treat. Now, Victor has a long name, so I'm gonna try and get it right. Let me see if I can do it right. Okay, I'm gonna do it justice because I love your name, brother. Victor Manuel de la Mora Patiño.
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it.
Boom, boom. All right. So Victor, I've always called him Victor. Victor, will you just introduce yourself to the folks and tell them who you are and what you're up to in the world? And I'm excited to be in this conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Branch. Well, good morning to everyone. My name is Victor. I'm 27 years old. I'm currently an architect. Freelance, that's what I'm focusing on right now. Construction and design, that's my strongest. And, just focusing on growing.
Well, see, Victor gave you the short version right there because Victor and I go way back. So I didn't know how much he was going to jump in. So I guess I'm going to have to add into his intro. So not only is he an architect, not only is he, doing his work in construction in that work. So Victor and I met. Uh, how about you tell the story? Because I can tell it from my side, but you were a student, so it would be great to hear from your
Yeah.
perspective.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Well, I met Mr. Branch back in 2007 in San Lorenzo High School. Uh, I was just a freshman, and it was the Ever Forward Club running, and it was a pretty amazing experience for me because throughout high school we would have all these different activities. We would reunite with a bunch of classmates and talk about different things. And eventually, my senior year, we went to different universities. I remember going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, taking an architectural class there, and it was just so amazing. Then we went to UCLA, had that firsthand experience, and just have you guys, you, Mr. Branch, as a mentor, really helped me establish my priorities and my goals. So we go way back.
It's so good to see you, man. And I think when you talked about Cal Poly and going to the architecture class and the fact that you're an architect, I had a subliminal goal by having you all visit Cal Poly, right? Because I went to Cal Poly, and so because Ever Forward was a club for all students, some students were on the path of towards the college, and some were not, and it wasn't a club that says you have to go to college. It was like, what do you want to do with your life that's going to make you feel alive, that's going to make you feel satisfied and successful? And I think that deep down, I really wanted every student to want to go to Cal Poly, right? I'm like, come on, can't you see this amazing place? Look at all these cows and trees. And but one of the things I was really happy when you told me that is that moment, that sitting in that architecture class stood out to you, because all I was hoping to do is just plant seeds, and you never know what seeds you're going to take. Farmers plant many seeds, and they know that there has to be a yield of something. Some are going to grow and some are not, but that's why you plant, right? And so I'm really glad that trip, that was some amazing trips. I want to know. I want to think that was a trip that Mr. Santian and his wife went on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
it was incredible. It was fun. I remember we even had a car wash event to get resources so we can all go. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I think, is that the trip that we went to Disneyland?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
ended up. I'm sorry. We ended up in
No, no.
UCLA, and then the
Yeah.
next day we went to Disneyland.
Okay, I'm gonna find some of those photos. I remember because my friend Antrice, who's an artist, Antrice brought a bunch of her Disney animation folks, and they were the ones who helped us get into the park
Yeah,
because as a Disney employee you have a little pass that you can bring one or two people in, and they rallied and got us all in because we couldn't afford it. Like it was if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have gotten in because the tickets are over $100 each, and I'm like,
yeah.
we gonna go to the beach. That's where we gonna go. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. The beach is free. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun, and how everybody just worked together. It was amazing. All that
Man,
hard work and dedication.
yeah, and I think you also, if I remember right, did you meet Edward Paz in the Design Your Best Year Ever?
Yeah, Edward Paz was also there. He was, a mentor as well,
Y-
and he gave us. I remember he gave us a book and
Yeah,
how to design our best year ever, and the right decisions and the decisions that were going to mark your life.
yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna
I
make
get
sure I tell him
I get goosebumps just by remembering all that.
that was some amazing times, And so, listen, normally in this podcast we don't interview people; we just have a conversation, right? You know, I haven't had a definitely not a face to face like this in a long, and maybe since 2011. You said right that when you
Yeah,
graduated, yeah,
yeah. It's been
and
10
then
years already.
10 years, man. Oh man, time goes so fast. And now you're an architect. You tell me what else are you up to? What else are you up to?
Well, I'm right now I'm a dad. I have a 3-year old. His name is Andre Nicholas, and it's just amazing how your priorities change all of a sudden. Now you have this little person looking up to you, and you have to be, uh, set up the right example for them. And you start looking around the world, seeing how society is changing constantly, and you worry about this little person. It's just amazing how everything changes throughout the years, how your priorities change. And I love being a dad. I love spending time with him. I love giving him, moments of life. We live in such a world where you have to materialize everything. Like, maybe give their child a phone so they can watch a video or whatever. And back when I was a child, we didn't have that. Like we had a Game Boy and it was in black and white. We didn't have light, so you would look for other things to do and play or distract yourself. Use your imagination. And
Yeah,
nowadays, I see a lot of kids that are losing that. They're losing that uh, beauty in life. I would
yeah,
say.
yeah. Oh man, I'm glad you said that. And I think even, I mean, I found myself at times like on one thing, I'm like, okay, do I want to listen to a podcast? Do I want to listen to a video? Do I want to go to YouTube? And I found myself like with all the gigabytes in this thing, I was like, I don't even know what I want to be doing on this thing right now. And I found myself like looking, trying to make up something to do. I mean, I got plenty to do, but like looking for, and I'm like, this is funny. Like I'm sucked into this thing right now where I think the only thing I could be doing is something on here, right? And although I know I got plenty of other stuff to be doing, right? But like even the adults too, right? Even the
Yeah.
adults get sucked into the devices, right? And uh, so listen, I am there's so many things I kind of want to maybe round around in the conversation, but congratulations on being a father.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I imagine as you're raising a boy, it, it's probably I don't know your relationship with your father, so I imagine there's a lot of things you're learning about what it means for him to be the kind of man that you want to support him to be based on kind of the things that you learned, right? I imagine there's a lot
Exactly.
of decisions to make. Do I want to pass that to him? And I don't really like that part. No, I don't like. I imagine there's a lot of decisions you're having to make, especially at 2 years old, because he's like grabbing onto everything. He's like
Yeah.
he's probably
He's
he's
great.
probably hearing words and he's repeating words. You're like, no, don't repeat that one. Repeat the other one. Like how many things he absorbs and then like a sponge just squeezes it all out.
Yeah, exactly. Even though we're over here in Mexico, I tend to speak to him in English. So he's really capturing the words and he's learning, and I feel happy about that because I want him to be bilingual. It's such an important phase right now to be bilingual, and it's funny that you mentioned that the things that you want to pass down to your kids because sometimes we have certain change uh, from other generations that we just want to break those. We want to break
Yeah.
those chains, and you don't want to have that passed down to your kids. Probably, talking about bad habits or whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad that and let me get my mind right. I think you're my first guest who I've interviewed who's actually well, Breno was our first. He was in Brazil. I think you're our first um, guest that I'm interviewing from Mexico, and I'm really excited. I think there's lots of work that people in community organizations are doing to really talk about this hyper masculine machismo narrative that says
Yeah,
men can't talk about feelings. They can't talk about how they feel. They have to always be stoic and have everything has to be fine and good and okay and todo bien
yeah,
perfecto, right? And when things are not, they bottle it up. They store it inside their body, right? They just keep on
exactly.
pushing through. And you as a young man who started Never Forward, where we talked about emotions, we it was almost expected. It was like you can't come here and pretend like everything's fine. If everything's fine, great. But we're here to say like, don't be here and be fake, right? Don't be in this
Exactly.
space, and because the goal is not to that doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve your future. And uh, have you? I mean, maybe today, maybe let's do the mask. And I think maybe after we make the mask, maybe as the words come out and as the ideas come out, we can just talk about how you see it around you. Like, how do you see it in the community that you live in, and the men and young men you come in contact with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
sounds good.
All
Um,
right. So you made a mask.
yes, I did.
All right. And I did too. So the question would be we always let the guest decide who goes first. So either you will go first or you will decide that I go first, but it's up to you because you're the guest. So you decide.
I'll go first.
Okay.
That
So you
sounds good.
share the front, and then after you share the front, maybe say a couple of words about it, then I'll share the front, and then we'll go back and then back.
Okay. Well, my mask is really simple. Um, the front, friendly, responsible, and confident.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
I feel like being responsible and that confidence, has followed me throughout mm, middle school, high school. Being friendly as well. I tended in high school to have lots of friends, and it was just different groups. Like I had basketball friends, I had varsity friends, I had the tennis friends, just a whole variety of friends. Really, that's how I consider myself as a person who just socialize,
Yeah.
social friendly.
Awesome. Yes. Social, yeah, I remember that, and I think I'm glad that's still a part of your life. All right, I'm gonna share mine. Okay, this is the front. It's interesting. I left one of the words off today that I don't. Okay, so I'm gonna. This is a mask. This is the mask.
Okay,
It's like a some kind of luchador. I don't know who he is. I want him to say he's. I don't know who I was trying to draw, but here's the
he looks
words I
like
wrote.
looks like Deadpool.
Kind of like right. Like I was like, who
Yeah,
am I
yeah.
drawing today? I don't know who I'm drawing today. Right. I just try and like just channel whatever the angles and shapes that come to my mind. And so today I wrote serious, funny, and hardworking. Um, yeah, I was writing caring for a while and caring is still a big part of it. But today these are the ones that came up, and I think serious probably was first because I think I came in this morning trying to get everything set up, and I just like I'm like I'm like on the target of like getting stuff done, right? Like I
Yeah.
think I get really intense sometimes, um, and then you know sometimes I just need to laugh, right? I think the funny part is like I was on a conversation yesterday with a foundation, and one of the directors, she was like, you know, at the end of the night, I just need something silly to watch because of all the stuff I drag in on all day and all the like the news that I don't even try and read, but it just passes by my feed. She's like, I just need something kind of silly just to go and just take it light. And I'm like, yeah, I find myself wanting some of that at the end of the day too. Just something disconnected from the reality of like the craziness of life, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so Siri is funny and hardworking, and you know, and the work continues. You know, there's a on that journey of trying to want to do big things in the world. You know, so
Exactly.
that's the front. That's my front.
Okay. Well, it's amazing.
All right.
uh,
Okay. Now we're gonna let's take a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath because now we're gonna move to the back. The back is you
okay.
know different, right?
Yeah.
And for anybody out there who hasn't made a mask, listen, you can do what Victor and I are doing. You can do it anonymously. You can go to 100kmasks.com and this is that part. The back is the things that we normally don't let people see. The front is the stuff we gladly let the world see, and what we're about to talk about right now is the stuff that we normally don't talk much about. So, thank you for going first, Victor.
Well, the back of my mask, show it, is scared
Mm,
to fail, anxiety, and depression. Scared to fail, you know, it's just fail in life, you know, in general. Like, I'm really the type of person that likes to be a perfectionist in what I do. And it's sometimes, it saddens me a little bit if I don't uh, reach my goals or reach certain dreams that I have, you know.
yeah,
So eventually that's something that I don't really show to a lot of people because now that I have a kid, you know, it's like even tougher. I have to be a little bit more role model, you know. I want him to grow up and be in his life. Um, Part of this is that I share this first part. I I recently, you know, separated from my baby mama, and it's been 2 years already. So it's
yeah,
been a little hard on the edge because I'm more of accustomed to a traditional way of fighting for your family, just not letting go so easy in today's society. You know, we're so accustomed to letting go in relationships. Like, I could get another relationship, another family, this and that. So that part has followed me through these past 2 years, and it has hidden me in falling in depression, having some anxiety attacks because it was just never my intention in failing in such an important thing as having a family. So it's been tough. It's been tough. I've been trying to focus on my work and focus on my child. We have a good communication, her and I, and we can see reflected on our kid because he's growing with confidence. He's growing happy. He's growing with all these qualities, and it's just a reflection of how her and I have been communicating, and just having that relationship, co-parenting our kid, and putting aside feelings and putting aside everything. So it's been tough, but at the same time, uh, we're taking step by step and, and focusing on our kid, which is something
yeah,
important. I want to be in the presence of him the rest of my life, but it also depends on me on the decisions and the moments that I make, for him. So
yeah,
yeah, that's my background on that.
yeah. Man, thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad that you two are like figuring out a way to work together, for
Exactly.
and that yeah, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome, Mr.
Um,
Branches. It's a pleasure.
I'm gonna share mine, and then maybe there's something maybe more will come out of anything you want to share. And the way it works is, I in these conversations we just let the conversation go where it needs to go.
Okay, yeah, sounds
Like
good.
like I think as we begin to let me just share mine, and then we can just see where everyone wants to go. But I just want to appreciate you for sharing that. I think a lot of times in this work, not only in this conversations with the podcast, but you know, like um, and as a teacher, as an educator, as seeing different family structures and different types of separations from families. You see the ones when they separate and they really still hold space for each other, and it's reflected, like you said, it's reflected in your son, right? And I've seen it when it's not, where it's like they're, the kid feels like they're dragged. Oh, I have to go here, I gotta go to that house, I gotta go to that house. And you feel the kid kind of carries it in their body, in their mind, right? No,
Yeah,
I couldn't finish the projects, I had to be at this house, and I couldn't, like, you just feel them, like it doesn't feel like for them like it's working, right? I mean, it may be working for the adults, but for them, it feels like they feel trapped in the middle of these two opposing figures. So I just appreciate you for just
thank you. And adding to that, it's even harder because uh, she has a way of educating him. I have a way of educating him, and we don't want him to feel dragged to one house or another. So we're
yeah,
really just working on that process and focusing on our kid and giving him the best qualities in life, and just being role models to him. Like, okay, eventually he's going to grow up, he's going to understand, and we're going to have to sit down and talk to him and say, you know what, things didn't work out, but hey, we're here for you. You can count on us, and really just give him that confidence.
yeah, that's so beautiful, man. And I think that's, I think it's gonna come. Yeah, let me tell you this part. So, I didn't grow up with a father, so part of it is that piece of my father died. He actually died before I was born, so it just wasn't around at all, right? But I know that sadness is real, right? Like that father, um, that father wound, right? And like as young men grow up and have this relationship or not relationship, or connection or not connection, um, it follows them, right? They may not talk about it because society says as men we can't talk about our feelings and how we feel about those things, especially sadness and fear and worry and all of that, right? You're
Yeah,
supposed to be happy all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what people tell me. You should be happy. Just be happy. Just be funny. And it's like, well, where do I talk about this stuff on the back of the mask, right? And I think having that space to know that whatever I feel is real, and I'm still human, and I'm still a man, and I'm still doesn't make me less than a person who's in this body to be able to talk about it. And I think that's so
yeah,
important. Um, here's the back of mine. I'm gonna share this one. So I'm gonna explain the lines there. It says fear of failure, which was in common with yours, and
yeah.
sadness, and then trauma. That's my messy writing. Trauma, like childhood trauma mostly. And I wrote these extra lines here. I've been doing this lately because like I could actually fill the back up with all the fears, that I don't talk about, right?
Okay.
Like fear of failure, right? Like wanting to really. I mean, you've seen this organization since it was just a program at a school, right? And
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we're a nonprofit like, so the fear of failure is why I think I work so hard and why I'm so serious all the time, right? Because I just I don't know, I want to feel successful. Like it's not always about what other people say. It's like I want to feel it, and I think that's where my fear comes in, and that's why I'm so serious and all the time, and I work so hard, right? Um, and I'm gonna come back to that because I think these other lines I talk about, like fear of, maybe I'm fear of success sometimes.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm like like trying to write a book. I think sometimes I have a fear of writing. Like I get stuck. Like I'm like, I made a commitment, write 100 words a day. Yesterday I didn't write 100 words. Why? It's 100 words. Like
Hmm.
I could say 100 words in like 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like why did I just even do that? You know? And it's not that I didn't want to. I mean, I was doing a lot of work yesterday, but that's like my personal project. And so, I put a lot of time into the work, but I don't always put enough time into my own projects. And so, and then I wrote sadness and trauma. But yeah, I think the fear one really stands out. I think a lot right now, just in that whenever Forward first started, depending on how well the students knew me, right? They knew. I mean, I was always pretty intense. I think, right? But it came from a place of like love. Like I really wanted them to do good. So if I was getting on a kid's case, a young person, I don't know if I ever had to get on your case too many. Maybe you and I had one little thing, but nothing, right?
yeah,
But everyone knew. Well, I think those who knew me knew that it was came from a good place, right? But if you're an outsider, you'd be like, why is he all over? Why is he so upset with those kids, right? And it wasn't really upset. It was more like, I don't know what I remember. I'm trying to think of the hotel. I think we had a hotel scenario when we went to LA. I think I had to get up in the middle of the night. I'm trying to remember your trip. I'm trying to remember your trip. I remember we stayed at that one. Somebody gave us a house to stay in San Luis Obispo. I remember that. But
yeah,
I think it's that idea. Like on the outside, people would be like, "Well, man, that teacher is so strict on those kids." And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm just caring for you. Like, I want you to have
exactly,
success. I want you to have good experiences, good opportunities. I want people to look at you and respect you. And I think those are the things that come up when I think of like and fear of like. I think there's some fear. There's always been a fear of like being missing, being misunderstood. You know?
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I remember. Adding to the fact that you care about students. Um, somehow you knew our potential individual. Like I remember you saying uh, back in the hotel that incident. You said something like, "Victor, you need to stand up and be a leadership. Be a leader. Show your leadership." And you said it in a in a caring tone, but somehow like como regaño. Yeah. it was just amazing. Like it was a. I think about it now and it gives me goosebumps because somehow you knew the capacity that I had. Delegating other people and coordinating. So it was like you were upset. You were like, he needs to open his eyes and see what he's really capable of and all that.
yeah, yeah. I think that part right where you try and help them see like I see it in you, but I need you to. And if you don't see it in yourself yet, just borrow some of what I see in you. Like just borrow some of it until you can you got it on your own, right?
Exactly.
And I think those are the parts. Like sometimes because of the peer groups, like we want to we don't want to like stand apart, right? But right to lead, if you're going to lead the orchestra, you got to turn your back on the crowd. You can't be facing the crowd leading the orchestra. It doesn't work, right? It's like, and sometimes we feel like if we kind of leave our friends to the side a little bit, that we're leaving them as opposed to like leading them, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that I vaguely remember that conversation, but thank you for like putting words to it because I know I saw a lot of potential in you, right? And
Yeah.
maybe even sometimes you weren't ready for it, so you'd be like, why are you putting all this pressure on me? Like, why like why are you trying to make me do stuff? And I'm like, because it's in you. It's like, oh, and I think I'm so proud when I left San Lorenzo High, you were still there, but I stayed in touch with, you all and through Santian and through
Yeah.
other events we had. And I'm really proud of where you've come, man. I'm really,
Yeah.
when I finally got that first message, I think it was I don't know if it was on one of the social media platforms. I was like, dude, where are you? Where you been? It was
Yeah.
just so great to be reconnected with you. So, Yeah, yeah, man. Let me ask you this. Well, maybe what else is coming for you around this idea of the back of the mask? What other thoughts are coming up before I ask a question?
Um, well, back to the math, I remember now that we're talking in high school, I remember learning about, that image of what acceptance is towards your peers, towards your friends, like that would, um, we're more worried about what brand shoes we're going to wear, what people are going to see, clothes and everything. And sometimes, thinking back through it, it's just a waste of time, like you have other things in life that really matter. But I think at that age, at that young age, our brain is not that capable of or mature enough to see all these different things, all these other important things in life. And we're more focused at that age of, oh, you got the new Jordans, oh, you got this new snapback or whatever, like, but you want to look fresh. But yeah, why do you want to look fresh? Who do you want to look fresh for? Like, and you just really building up a big emptiness inside you of things that don't matter. And, thinking back to high school, that's how my way of thinking was. And then all of a sudden, coming back to Mexico, while my residence was on a civil petition, it really helped me, you know, touch ground, be more humble, um, and stop worrying about, being materialized and stuff, and focusing on other things in life. So it really it helped me, It was a big cultural shock for me. It's a big difference, but it really did help me a lot to just touch ground. And success also, having success is not by measuring how much money you have in your bank. Having success is just the good quality life that you have, like just life in general. Like, okay, I have a roof, to live on. I have a car. I have everything I need to survive, and then just that for me is just already being success. I have my family. I'm living life. I'm experiencing. I'm growing, and it's not really about how much money you have, or what car, kind of car you have, or what kind of, it's just different perspectives of life.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. Thank you. And I think that's what a lot of we're trying to help our young people understand today, right? Even like you being a young man, a man younger than me, as I always say young man, but you're a man, right?
Yeah.
And like figuring out like how do we help the young men? Like for example, imagine you see I don't know how your neighborhood is set up, but do you see young men walking around in your neighborhood or in your like where your office is or where you work? Do you see? I mean, especially we're in the kind of in the middle of this post quarantine pandemic. Like how do you see the young men interacting with each other? Do you see a lot of like, I gotta prove everybody how tough and cool I am, or do you see any teenagers around where you are? Like, do you see young people?
Yeah. There's plenty of young people here, and it's a really similar. It's a really similar environment. You have to prove how tough you are. Improve your pride. Uh, don't show any emotions. And even I think it's more visible here in Mexico because of the machismo. You don't tend to see man cry or man showing their emotions or showing opening up, showing love. So it's really noticeable here in that
Yeah,
area. And in construction, well, there's a couple of young kids, like 16-year-old kids that work under my supervision and that I have to pay them. And the other day I was talking to one of them. He's 16. He he had a scholarship to, go to continue on his high school and go on to university. And I said, well, how come you didn't, you know, grab that opportunity? His answer and most of the answers are similar to the fact that, well, he said, I started, you know, earning money. I started knowing what it was to, buy my own stuff, this and that. So I said, hey, I'm gonna just work, earn and gain money, earn money. And they're focused on that instead of investing a little bit of time in their future to, become something in life.
Yeah. When you asked him that question, did you? I mean, that's a really beautiful question to ask, and I'm glad you asked that. It's like you're being a mentor for him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Uh,
consciously or subconsciously.
yeah, I even told him, hey, you should use that opportunity and hey, why not study architecture? You're working on construction, you already have some knowledge of it. Why don't you use it to your benefit? And he was like, no, I'm focusing on earning money, this and that. And I said to him, I said, you know what? It's never too late, even if you're 18.
For our audience, like here's what I'm totally enjoying those sounds because I'm having
Oh
flashbacks
yeah.
of being in Mexico. Oh, I I'm like, what are they selling? I want some. I want some. Buy me one. Like whatever it is. I just want to buy some right now. Right. Um, those are the callers. Right. They're like letting people know I'm here. I got the goods. I got the
Exactly.
goods. Yeah.
Ice cream. It could be ice cream. It could be corn. It could be,
Elotes,
yeah, elote.
esquites.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh man, oh man. My mouth was watering. I'm like, why is my mouth watering? Because I hear that bell.
Yeah.
Because there's something good attached to it. So right on. I just wanted to make sure the audience knew what we were hearing because so maybe they've not been there. Maybe in their neighborhood somebody's like selling ice cream and they get a little bell, right? But that
Yeah.
that that sound was like, oh yeah. Tell me what are you
Flashback.
selling? Yeah, right on.
Flashbacks.
It was flashbacks. It's definitely some flashbacks, man. Oh man. Yeah.
He was like, yeah, well, yeah, you're right. So I felt like I kind of planted that seed on him, inside him, and
Yeah.
well, let's just hope for the best, because it really saddens me to see, in my construction sites, young kids, 16,
Yeah.
15-year olds, working. It's tough.
Yeah. And I think it's so beautiful to be able. I mean, as a person, as a man who was in a mentoring program, who were asked hard questions when you were younger, right? I think it's maybe it's like it's already a part of you, right? Being a mentor as well, right? Being a person who is um when you talked about that idea of you asking that young man questions, I am really thankful and I'm really glad you shared that because what I hope is that what we did in Ever Forward for all the young people that were a part of it, when you became a part of it, it was co-ed. So there was boys and girls in Ever Forward. When Ever Forward first started, it was just young men until, you know, I think around 2007 is when the Young Women's Circle started. Um, but I'm so thankful that the questions you're asking him, like even though it's maybe even subconscious for you, it was like I see something in that person that maybe they don't see in themselves. I and all I can do is just ask him some questions to help, either awaken something that's just been lying dormant, like a seed, right? Seeds don't
Exactly.
grow all season long, right? They know that there's a certain season to grow. And maybe the seed you planted is just not ready to grow yet. But maybe as it gets more people water it, maybe as more people in his life says, "Oh man, you're doing that, dude. Why don't you go take that?" And other people add some little fertilizer and some more dirt and soil, and I think maybe what you've allowed to do is just to expand his mind, right?
Exactly. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I have a younger cousin. He's well, he got caught in drugs and by the age of 15, and eventually our family, his family, just surrounded him by showing him support, really trying to help him out. I remember him
Yeah.
um, asking me about how my experience was living back in the States, and he asked me, "Did you have any gang member friends?" And I said, "Yeah, I had plenty of gang member friends, and from different gangs." And he asked me, he was like, "How come you never followed them, or how come you never? What did you do, not get caught up with them?" And I just told him, you gotta be strong in your head. Show your friends your love and support, but also
Yeah.
let your friends know that you know you, there's a certain line of respect. Like, I'm your friend because of who you are. Uh,
Yeah.
don't ask me to join any gang member.
Yeah.
Respect that from me. I respect the way you are.
Yeah.
Just please have that respect.
Yeah.
And he really just got caught up in that moment when I was telling him that, and I was explaining that to him. And eventually he started working his way out of those circle of friends.
Nice.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful moment. I even told him that I would support him financially so that he can go to a barber school, get his barber shop here in Mexico, and focus on something else and just not that. It's hard to get. It's hard and it's easy to get caught up in those things.
Yeah. Especially when there's nothing else, especially when you don't know another way, right?
Exactly.
If man, I think for all the young people who grew up in the Bay Area or in Oakland, San Leandro, Hayward, like if or any surrounding area, if the street you lived on, everybody only did this, you could easily never leave that area and think that that's all there was, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you just get stuck in that circle, in that same circle.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's like the college trip, right? Like my goal was that I didn't care what college you went to or that you went to college, but that you knew that there was more than what Oakland, San Leandro, Hayward, that little corridor had. The world was bigger. Not only was the state bigger, the world was bigger.
Yeah,
And if I had the money, I would have taken to further places, right? But I was like, well, look, we can at least go to LA, right? And we're gonna see something different. We're gonna see what it's like to be in a new place where people are hungry for knowledge, right? Where it's not just somebody trying to. No one's here comparing their shoes to each other on this college campus. I mean, they maybe in their minds they are, but it ain't. You don't see that kind of click kind of thing. I mean, it happens. Not that it doesn't happen, but what do you see here, man? People are on their way to class. They're focused. They're hanging out with their friends. They're having lunch over here, and I think like that, like your cousin, like you're just like, man, if to him to see another way, like, oh wait, I can I can have friends and who do that, and I don't have to do it. Like, but if you never knew that
yeah,
that existed, then it doesn't exist.
exactly.
It's kind of like when you ask a fish, "What's water?" like, uh, what's water? A fish doesn't know what water is, right? Because that's all they see. Right? Like water. I don't know, what's water? you're like, oh, wait a minute, right? And until you come out of it, and then you're like, where's this stuff, right? I
Yeah,
think, yeah, man. Brother, I am man. I'm so glad we got to make this time to catch up. I am really proud of you, man, and I hope that young man. Maybe tell that young man from my behalf. Say, hey, I know this. Oh, I know this old guy who got gray hair, but he was in construction, you know, and then he made a change to follow his heart, right? So whatever that is, if ever I can offer a word, and if I can offer a word to him in Spanish, tú sabes que me hablo español y me encanta hablando español también. Entonces,
así es,
so
claro que
if I can
sí.
offer a word, and I look forward to seeing you when I get back to Mexico. Victor, thank you for being on the show today. It's so good to catch up with you again. I'm really proud of you, brother, and I'm excited to hear about all the new questions you ask young people in your life as you begin to pass down maybe some of the whatever we were able and ever forward to sprinkle on you and plant, like you can then also do that. And so thank you so much. Is there any last words you want to say to people out there, young people, anything, the last words you want to have, and how people can find out what you're up to, and anything, any way you want people to follow you if you're interested in that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Branch. For it's a pleasure being here in this podcast and inviting me. Um, you can count on me giving out my experience to other young people, and for other people, young people that are out there, I would just give them a little bit of advice and stop worrying about what others think of you and just worry about yourself. Yourself as a person. Um, everything depends on you. It doesn't depend on other people. So that's probably the best advice I could give to young kids. And don't be afraid to
Awesome.
show emotions. Open up. If you have to cry, cry. If you have to, talk about certain things that you're going through. Go ahead, open up. Don't be afraid to look for that advice.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Just this last question is:
Yes.
so when you're going through difficult times now in your life, who do you talk to? Do you have like a, a, a circle of your men that you go to, or one person that you go to? Who do you go to when you need to talk about stuff?
Okay, I go to my father, uh, but I go to I attend to a Christian church, so I talk to my pastor, to the preacher, and I just sit down with him and tell him what I'm going through, and it helps a lot to talk to to older men to older men. It's just they give you advice because they've been through that, or they've been through similar experiences. So um, rather than talking to a friend at my age who is probably going through the same thing, I tend to talk to older men. It could be an uncle, it could be a friend that's a lot older than me, or something.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. And I am glad that you do that. So, for all you out there, if you know anybody who needs to hear this message, please share this with them. It's the best way that they can also learn about the mask that they have to wear and that they don't have to do it alone. That
Yeah.
they can be looking out and finding someone in their life to connect to. And I want to thank Victor for being on the show today and for being a part of the Ever Forward family, our extended family. And as an organization, we're growing. And so maybe even one day you're gonna help us open up a club right there in Guadalajara.
Yeah. It'll
Siempre
be an honor.
adelante.
Yeah, it'll be an
Oh
honor.
man,
It'll be an honor. It'll be
let's
amazing to
let's do it.
to open up
Let's
a
do
club
it.
over
It's
here.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready. So no
Hey,
pressure, but I'm ready. I think that the more we can help those young people, like the young man who you're mentoring on the job site, to like find that, hey, there's many paths, and find the path that works best for you, as opposed to the path that you think you're supposed to, be on. And I think those are the ways that we help people come alive. And so I'm looking forward to that day.
all
And
right, sounds good, Mr. Branch.
I'll come and do a mask workshop with some youngsters, and then you run it. You'll be in charge.
Hey, that'll be amazing. I'm ready when you are. There's a saying over here in Mexico. It says, "Tú nomás di rana y yo salto." So you say frog
Okay.
and I'll
All
jump.
right. All right, man. Let's go. All right. Well, see, like, I know you didn't plan to leave this with like a new extra work, but hopefully
Oh,
it'll be something exciting and Oh man, that's exciting. Well, I'm excited and I'm ready. And the mask movement is global. So we look
Yeah.
forward to serving young men in your community. And thank you. Thanks for being a part of the podcast today.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Branch,
right.
and
I'm gonna stop.
you can follow me in in Instagram.
Yeah, please. No, please
And,
tell us the
and
website. Yeah, absolutely. Please.
yeah, Instagram, BM De La Mora, and I also have another one, which is my construction firm, which is at MORARQ. That's how you can find it on Instagram.
Beautiful.
Mora.
Well, we're gonna link all those in the show notes. We're gonna put all those in the show notes. I'm gonna
Right.
will you yeah, we'll have all that listed, so folks, you'll be able to click on the links in the in his Instagram link and the website, all of that in the show notes. Thank you for being on the show. We're gonna close right now, and so I want to say thank you everybody for paying attention, for listening, and we'll see you soon. If what you heard today you enjoyed, if you've listened to this and you found something inspiring, please like and subscribe to this podcast. That's the best way for someone to find this podcast, maybe like you did. Please tell someone about it. If you know, listen to some of our previous episodes, and if one of them rings out to you, please share it with somebody you know. We also invite people to join us in a face-to-face where they come together with another person to make a mask and talk about that mask together. There's short conversations, about 20, 30 minutes. So if that's something that's interesting to you, please send us a message, send us in the comments below, let us know that you're interested in that. And we look forward to you joining the movement of the Million Mask Movement. And check out our new shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but this is our new shirt, the Million Mask Movement. And so we'll have these soon available. But we look forward to you being a part of the movement and supporting our work. Please consider supporting the work that we do in Ever Forward and in the work that we do in the Million Mask Movement to let people around the world realize that they're not alone. Thank you.